I have told you your fate. If you sign that paper, once more I say beware. You snake, you will die for this." These words were strongly spoken to William Mcintosh as he signed the Treaty of Indian Springs on February 12, 1825. These words were spoken by an Upper Creek chief would come true on April 30th, 1825, when William Mcintosh was executed by his own people. Good day, I'm Jim Wright with the Longhorn Historical Society, and I am here at Mcintosh Reserve Park on the banks of the Chattahoochee River near Whitesburg, Georgia. On this land, William Mcintosh had a plantation, which is behind me, and was killed for signing away the last of the Muskogee Creek land in Georgia. Join me as I explore this location and venture to Indian Springs and explore the state park there and this historic signing. The house in the upcoming scene is a replica of the house that William Mcintosh lived in on Acorn Bluff, which was called Loch Chow Talofo. It stands on a ridge overlooking the Chattahoochee River, and this is where William Mcintosh was killed and the house burned down. He is buried across the street from the house. In a few moments, we're going to go ahead and walk through this replica of William Mcintosh's home. The home that he originally lived in on this spot does not exist. It was burned down when he was killed in April of 1825. But you'll see a unique construction of this house. It overlooks the Chattahoochee River. Off to my left, down in the valley below, would be the Chattahoochee River. So we're going to go ahead and take a walk through this house and kind of talk about the history of William Mcintosh and the removal of the creek. The story of William Mcintosh, also known as Tuts Tu Nugi Hutki, the White Warrior, begins in and around 1778, where he was born in the Lower Creek town of Coweta, near present-day Columbus. He was born to a Scottish father and a Creek mother. Both his parents earned great influences in their respected worlds. Mcintosh is related to the Mcintosh family that came from Scotland to establish Darien, which is at the mouth of the Altamaha River in 1736. His mother would be a significant member in the Wind clan of the Creek Nation. Mcintosh was also related to two Georgian governors. This dual world influence would give power, respect, and prestige to Mcintosh. He would be one of the Lower Creek chiefs and lead his people. However, he was also loyal with the United States, even fighting with them against his Creek brothers in the Red Stick War. Mcintosh and the Lower Creeks tended to side with the English and later the Americans and adopt that lifestyle. Mcintosh was loyal to the U.S., and his support of slaveholding, cotton growing, and personal property rights challenged the traditional Creek way of life. This created distrust with other Creeks, especially the Upper Creeks, who fought against the U.S. in their westward expansion and assimilation program. As Americans pushed westward for land, gold, cotton, and railroads, this put pressure on the Creek Nation. Some Creeks fought, some sold the land before it was taken away by force. In 1821, Mcintosh signs the first Treaty of Indian Springs. The images shows what land was given up in this treaty. After this, the Creek Nation writes a law stating if any more land was sold without the entire nation's consent, then death would be the punishment. On February 25, 1825, Mcintosh signs the Second Treaty of Indian Springs, which virtually ceded all Creek land in Georgia, and with that, signed his own death warrant. A few months later, on April 30th, 1825, 200 members of the Upper Creek, led by Chief Manawa, carried out the death sentence. They surrounded the house, shot and stabbed Mcintosh to death. After that, they burned the house to the ground. Some say that Mcintosh sold the land because he didn't have a choice, and the tide of settlers was going to take it away anyway. Some say he did it for selfish reasons for financial gain. He did get land and money for signing these treaties. Whatever the reason was, Mcintosh is a controversial figure in Georgia history.
Today we're going to be talking about the history of this area. There is an actual spring on the premises that you can drink water from. We're going to talk about the history with the Muskogee Creeks and how a guy named William Mcintosh was killed because he signed over this land. We'll also connect to this back to the Great Depression and how these buildings here at Indian Springs State Park were built by the Civilian Conservation Corps.
The building behind me is Indian Spring. A spring is water that comes directly out of the earth. This spring has been known to be called Gunpowder Springs because of the sulfur smell that associates with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a drink of the spring water. I have it in a water purifier. We'll see if it tastes good, if it still has a smell. Still kind of has a rotten egg smell. It tastes pretty good. Tastes like water. Indian Springs State Park is Georgia's oldest state park and one of the oldest in the nation. For centuries, Native Americans and European settlers have come here to sample the rotten egg smelling spring waters because it was said to have healing qualities. You can drink the water straight from the spring. During William Mcintosh's time, there was a hotel and plantation that he ran. This is also where he signed the treaties that gave up nearly all of the Muskogee Creek land in Georgia. Indian Springs during the 1800s would be a resort town, people coming to enjoy the springs, the creek, and the natural setting. During the Great Depression, one of FDR's New Deal programs, the CCC, built many of the stone structures that are still here today. Indian Springs is an awesome place to visit because of the trails, camping, and local history. It makes for a great tourist destination or a place to unwind.
Across the street from Indian Springs State Park is the William Mcintosh Hotel and Museum. Back in 1825, this is where William Mcintosh lived. Also, this is where he signed the Treaty of Indian Springs, which gave away the rest of the Muskogee Creek land. Because he had violated Muskogee Creek law, he was murdered by his own people later in 1825.